In one of his essays, I think it's The Stream of Consciousness, William James, in addition to using this kind of liquid metaphor of consciousness or of mind, the stream, the famous stream of consciousness that he talks about, he also uses this other metaphor where he talks about the passage of thoughts through the mind, or the passage of the mind through a series of thoughts, as like a bird in flight. He says that that thoughts move through a series of what he calls flights and perchings, as if this kind of centre of one's consciousness is passing through a forested environment, relatively smoothly, I guess, and alighting on this branch, which corresponds to a certain kind of sustained moment of thought about a particular subject or object for a moment, and then flies on. It's a fantastic image. I love that image of this bird in flight. But that's not really how it feels a lot of the time for me, I think. I think when I'm on a roll, so to speak, it feels a bit like that. But most of the time it doesn't. It feels much more like like a bird that's flight is constrained somewhat. When I was a kid, we used to have a budgerigar, and sometimes we'd let that out of its cage to fly around the room, around the living room, and it would always look really ungainly. You know, it would fly around, it would perch on the skirting board, not the skirting board, the what's it called, the picture rail that we used to have on top of the house, top of the wall. It would fly up to the pelmet above the window for a bit. It would kind of bash itself against the window for a while, trying to get out. So its flight was anything but smooth. It was anything but this series of flights and perchings that William James talks about. And quite often I feel that the way my thoughts move are much more like that budgerigar actually than the birds in this environment that I'm in right now, who do seem to be involved in this more unconstrained and I don't know what the word would be, more deliberate kind of flight. You know, quite often when I'm thinking about things, and I've been thinking recently about this paper I've got to do at a conference tomorrow morning in Exeter, and there's some problems with what I'm going to try and deliver there. I'm a bit stuck with some of it, and I just feel like I'm flying against one idea and then bouncing off and flying against another, and not able to construct any kind of a smooth path between them. I can't get the flight going, I can't perch anywhere really. It all feels a bit unstable. I suppose if I was to put that in another kind of language, the kind of movement through space that James is alluding to with that particular metaphor is a kind of ideal form of thought, akin to the smooth stream of consciousness he talks about. When he's talking about streams of consciousness, just to switch back to the liquid metaphor for a moment, he seems to be, there's something about the stream, I think, which is very optimal and very flowing, and I think it has some correspondences to what's referred to as flow, Csikszentmihalyi's term for a kind of ideal cognitive and physical functioning, and possibly has some relationships to terms like absorption. I think it's probably significant that these are all liquid terms. Absorption is a term that Gershwitz uses to talk about a kind of unproblematic engagement with one's activity, including presumably the activity of smooth thinking, smooth flowing thinking. So I think the stream of consciousness in James isn't the kind of stream that is constantly bumping up against dams and has to work its way around hydroelectric plants and is constantly drying up or spilling over floodplains. It's a different kind of stream he's alluding to, and I think the flights and perchings of the bird he's talking about are the flights and perchings of a bird through a particular kind of imaginary environment, not the flights and perchings or flappings and bangings of a budgerigar constrained to a living room in Lancashire.